we're here. Okay. Hi, guys. It's 4 o'clock. That means Dr. Lily Listens is on. I've got my wonderful guest, Justin Cardoza, the tragic medium, with me. Let me give you a brief introduction into him. Justin Cardoza is a world-recognized psychic medium consultant and published author. He's been working as a psychic medium professionally for over 18 years and has done consulting in Hollywood and the corporate world. He's not only a one-man show, but half of a successful duo with his wife, Roseanne, who is an intuitive consultant, both of whom can be seen weekly on their YouTube channel, The Intuitive Couple. With thousands of readings under Justin's belt, he's developed a highly tuned, experienced ability to read all energy. Often dubbed the tragic medium, on his weekly YouTube live show, Justin seeks to not only connect people with their deceased loved ones, but to reestablish their faith in God. Let me tell you just a little bit about how I found Justin. So I was on Facebook last October at night, just scrolling through my page, and suddenly it said, The Intuitive Couple, up at the top. And I thought, So I checked it out, and then I heard about their YouTube show. I went on their show, watched with all the other people in chat, and he was wonderful. He was amazing. He was able to give dates, names, times. He was a real pleasure. He's from New York, like myself, so woohoo! Can't go wrong there. And he had a real warm ability to help people with their problems. He was truly compassionate. I was touched. And his wife is a riot. She's very blunt, will tell the truth. I will have Roseanne later on another day because I want her to talk about the feminine power and all the things that she does. But today is about Justin and his work. So, and then in the course of that, he did a Halloween show where my father came through. And I think we shared a couple stories about what my father had done. Right, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. And Lily, thank you so much for having me.
Sure.
It's a pleasure to be here. And look forward. I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to have some fun here.
Oh, totally. And then over the course of the year, I think my grandfather came through, my uncle, my grandmother.
Many people come through for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, it was really wonderful. For me, it was great because I believe in it so much and I knew you were the real thing. And so I knew the messages were real. So it was really touching. The hard part, of course, as everyone knows, is waiting every week and having to wait with a group of people who they're just as anxious and they, are just in as much pain or, that kind of loving position and wanting to hear from their loved ones. So I can relate to the amount of stress that you have to deal with on your end.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, every Saturday, my wife, Roseanne, and I do what we call a Give Back Saturday. And that's where we give the spirit readings away for free. And I open up my channel, and whoever ends up coming through, they come through, they give, a few clues, and it's up to the folks in the audience or, in the chat to go ahead and validate those things as they're coming through. And then as those things are validated, more information comes through. Once I know I have that, I call it a click, like a seatbelt. And I know that I'm with this person. That is usually when the real meat and potatoes of the message comes through. And I think it's a wonderful ability to have.
Yeah. And I think what makes you so unique and also why I think I relate to you so well and why I like you so much, you try to help people get their faith back. And so you've done like you did the Halloween special where we were trying to connect with deceased loved ones. With Christmas, you tried to have like a little Christmas like party. And so people could connect and feel together. Because as you put it, there's a sense of almost church community with that group. They've grown. They've kind of told people about, you and your work and your wife. And so, and I have to admit, Dom is hysterical. The family antics add to it. I mean, it's definitely a warm environment. So I think people really gravitate to that, and it's a rare thing to see, and it's really nice.
Well, thank you. It definitely is a family business. I've got a son that's just as intuitive, and he relays it in a very comedic way. My wife is just as intuitive, but she relates it in a very blunt way.
Yeah.
I am the political one,
right?
Always, because the essence of the message doesn't change.
True.
And the message is that the ultimate message that we aim to convey is that no matter what, love never dies.
Correct.
And that is the ultimate message that pervades every single live that we do, every single reading that we do. So that is just the one thing that really drives us as a family. Mm-hmm. And it's that knowing and understanding. And, we go on and on about the difference between hope and faith. The mm-hmm. two are interlocked in right. such a way. But there is a difference. Faith is the knowing beyond the shadow of a doubt that something is there without any proof.
Right.
But every now and then we all experience that moment where that faith gets shaken.
Yeah.
Right? We've all been there. And you just start questioning things. And that is where hope comes and kicks in. And my job is to grab people who are on the precipice of hope and about to even lose that, and to grab them and bring them back to faith, which is ultimately bringing them back to God.
And you've done a bang up job at it. As somebody who's watched you for a year, I can attest, because you've really had some heartfelt conversations and I've been impressed. And, I try to do the same thing with my work. It's just in a different vein. I always do the reading first, and then I kind of point out that, the hope and the faith piece. And then people are always surprised to hear me say that, like, hey, you care about the universe, you care about God. I'm like, it's just whatever you believe in, whatever helps you, cope with your life and gives you that strength.
Yeah. So one of the main things for me,
right,
is that I approach everything from a Christian perspective, right? The rub to that, though, is that so many people have had bad experiences from people who say they're Christian.
Right.
Now, do I know what God is? Does anyone truly know what God is? So whether you call it the universe or God or whatever, the universal truths are still the same. Now, when I do my readings, it's very important for everyone to understand that it's not me that's doing them, right? And it's only the redemptive power of Christ that comes through and allows that to happen, And the problem is, as a Christian, I know that so many people go around touting these virtues, but they lack the one true virtue that Christendom excels at, and that is love.
Right.
Period. Right. And it's loving everyone without judgment.
Correct.
And that is what I aim to bring to the table. And conversion happens only when people experience that redemptive power of Christ. Right. And that is done through various means.
Okay. So tell me about your abilities and how you work specifically with reading people.
So the way that I work, if we're talking psychic abilities, I am clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient, meaning that I can see, hear, and feel. Right. Many times, and those three things are needed because just like individuals in life, people have different ways of communicating. Some people are visual. Some people are, more audio, and they need to hear things. But the biggest driver of the main message is the clairsentience. It is that knowing of a feeling that's being impressed upon you, and then turning around and being able to express it in such a way that you help transfer that energy that's being expressed through you onto the person that's receiving the message.
Good way of putting it. Yeah. And so it's great that you point out that it's you give the message and you kind of stay out of it,
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I bring that up because some people don't do that, and it's really frustrating. So when did you first discover you had abilities?
Oh man. So most psychics say, "Oh, I've been psychic since a child." Well, what does that mean, right? Um, I have always been intuitive, but back in New York, you just call it street smart.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You avoid your spidey senses go off, and you know how to avoid danger. Well, I didn't really come into the full understanding of what my abilities entailed until I moved to Oklahoma, and that was in 2002. And so I've been doing this now for 18 years. It was a bad breakup, emotionally turbulent time in my life. And now I'm not only having to deal with that change in life, but now also making the change to Oklahoma, right? From New York to Oklahoma, you can imagine.
Right.
And it was that first night that I was sleeping on my mother's floor in her little studio apartment. And, just trying to get settled. And I'm laying there and I'm closing my eyes. And for the first time, I'm having quiet. There's no sirens outside. There's no police cars. And you could actually hear crickets, which was different. Yeah. And the silence was deafening. Mm-hmm. And as I lay there and I closed my eyes, a woman's face from the darkness popped out at me, like right here, face to face. And it was a pale woman with blue eyes, and she goes, "You can see me?" And it freaked me out, man. Freaked me out. I jumped up. What was that? And I tell my mother, I'm explaining this to her, and she goes, "Huh?" And she shows me. She goes, "Does it look like her?" She shows me a picture, and it was my grandmother.
Oh wow!
Who was passed away. Oh man, when I was a baby.
Okay.
I had never met her. And so I've always been drawn to the paranormal. So like when I was a kid, my favorite movie of all time was Ghostbusters. I wanted to be a Ghostbuster.
Right.
Okay. I just loved it. And I was always drawn to that. I begged my mom to get me the Time Life mystery books. You remember those? The hard.
Yeah, I remember.
Mystery for the Pyramids. In school when it was reading time, they had old National Geographics. I'd always look for the ones that were talking about Atlantis or, the pyramids, that kind of stuff,
Right.
So I've always been drawn to it. So I was always aware of mediumship and psychics and things like that. But what did I know of it? Because I'm like, you can't learn how to do this. And so that was the awakening moment for me when I realized, wait a minute, let me try this. And the next day, I began meditating. I've meditated early as a child. When I was drawing, I was an artist, and it's a very meditative state. So I knew the state of mind that I had to be in. Right. And I would get there, and I used to say that it was like getting the thoughts in between your own thoughts. Right? Because they're not yours. Right. And it's the only way that I could describe the clairaudience coming through. Mm-hmm. This was before I knew terms. Right? And I got online way back in the day. I mean, 2002, and it was using a web TV. I went into a chat room, and it was a psychic chat room. And I just said, hey, I'm seeing this, blah, blah, blah. And I started doing the thing. And I was like, man, my hands are cold. And someone made me an admin right there. It was first time in there. They were like, oh, yeah, you definitely got something.
Wow.
And so I would do that night after night. And then eventually, I'd do it through AOL Instant Messenger. And so I've been doing this for people all around the world for a long time, not knowing their names, faces, or anything, and still getting it through. And it just proves that it's not me, that this is something bigger than me. They only come through out of love, because that is the one universal message that they come through with.
True. Yeah. A lot of mediums say that. Yeah, that's very true. So how would you describe the type of guidance you provide?
That, much like readings and everything, it has evolved over time. And the guidance that I aim to provide is much I aim to go deeper than just surface level.
Right.
So many times people will come on the live and say, hey, is so-and-so going to call me?
Yeah.
Or, hey, am I going to get this job?
Right.
Well, those aren't the questions, are they? If we
Right.
stop and take time to truly introspect within, are those the questions that you're asking about?
Right.
So, for example, is so-and-so going to call me? The real question that you're asking me is, am I going to find happiness and love? Well, let's look at the past. So many times people repeat mistake after mistake after mistake, men and women alike, because they don't take the time for introspection. Only once you take time for introspection and you start analyzing not just your faults, but your positive aspects, and you get to know who you truly are, only then will you find the love that you seek.
So true. And so many people do it the other way around. But yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. So last night you said something great. You said on your YouTube, which was Saturday night, your give back night, you said, I should do a whole thing on the rules of my readings. So go for it. Because I know it's on the top of your head, like, and you have it.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that I have started to take for granted. And I'm like, you know what? I really need to just do a video about this.
Right.
So, like, the first rule before, and this isn't just for me, these are good guidelines for anybody who's thinking of, right?
Yeah, right.
Go into it with an open mind.
Right.
Don't go to a psychic reading saying, look, I want to know this, and then just be closed off on only that.
Right.
Right. That's one of the key things. You have to be open and be able to think on your feet, because a lot of times we get tunnel vision, especially in the heat of the moment of receiving a reading.
Right.
It's very overwhelming.
Right.
And you start getting this amnesia, this fog, and it's like later on you're like, oh, wait a minute, that, so many times. That's why when I'm like, hey, I'm getting X, Y, and Z, and people are like, I don't know what that is. I'm gonna leave that with you. Just make note of it.
Right.
It'll come later.
Right.
Every time it does.
Right.
But, and you know what? Scratch. That's true. But I think the number one rule that I have is that I only read for people who are ready to hear the message. You've got to be ready to hear the message.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That means that goes hand in hand with with what I just said of being open, right? Because if you're like, hey, if you're coming to me for a yes or no answer, I'm not the guy. I'm not that guy. Period. Period. End of story. Because there are no yes or no answers in life.
Right. I often, when I go for readings, I'll say to them, this is what I think. What are you getting? And I am open, like you said, because otherwise you don't get anywhere. Because the life can throw a curve at you, and you have to be willing to go with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so important, right? And that's the thing. And another key thing is by being open, you got to start to think, and like as these clues are coming out at you, you've got to be able to think, okay, well, you know what? That sounds familiar, but there are so many times, and Lily, you've seen this.
I know. Yeah.
They come through and they're not for you. And somebody's like, well, it's not for me, but that sounds like my friend.
Right.
And this is coming through. So yeah, that's her brother. Yeah, that's so-and-so. And I'm like, well, if that happens, you have to be willing to go and put yourself out on the line and say, hey, listen. And I always tell them, hey, look, just say this. This is the opening line. Hey, look, I know this sounds crazy, but I, saw this psychic, whatever. I know it sounds crazy, but I think your brother came through, your father came through, your mother came, whatever. Yeah. And then deliver the message that way.
Right.
And by doing that, it really re-solidifies the person's faith who initially got the reading, even
Mhm.
though it may not have been for them and it may not have been what they were necessarily coming for.
Right.
But they were put in the position of even greater importance to deliver a message themselves. And in
Mhm.
that case, now they're kind of acting as me by proxy.
Right.
And if they are open to that, they will realize the joy and the satisfaction, which honestly is greater than receiving a reading yourself when you get to see someone's eyes click,
Right.
the fog lift, and they're like, oh my God.
Right.
Because that's where the faith lies. That's
Right.
where that redemptive piece lies.
Yeah, it's totally very important. So if it's not for you, like yesterday when you were bringing up the S woman, I thought, man, that sounds like a church friend, but I don't know. I really didn't know. And we didn't get far enough because then there were
Ended
all
up
these other people
being,
coming through.
well, and here's the thing, that ended up being for someone who was on the live, but
Oh, okay.
speak up.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so frustrating.
Well,
So that's
not
another
everybody's
thing.
got the self-esteem to open their big fat mouth like I do. But anyway,
Well,
okay.
it's one of our regulars, right? And so I think what happens is nobody wants to be that guy or that girl jumping, being the
I
reading
know. Yeah.
and saying, "Oh, that's for me. That's for me." Nobody wants to do that. So everybody kind of sits in there waiting. They're looking at everybody else. They're like, "Well, that kind of makes sense." Like, how many times do I see that? And I'm like, "Speak up."
No, I know you are. I know you are.
It's one of those things where it's incredibly tough because essentially what we're doing is a gallery reading, right?
Yeah.
That we've all seen a million times, right? But a gallery reading in person is a heck of a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason is that people are spread out. And now you can start feeling the energy pull you this way. You can feel the energy pull you this way or this way.
Right.
Whereas when we're doing it here on the computer,
Yeah.
the energy is only pulling us right there to the computer. And so it's like, all right, I've got a list of names and this got to hit for somebody. And then you also have the people who are just watching out of curiosity.
Yeah.
And you can feel their energy like, oh, wait, no, this can't be. And I'm telling you, you feel it and they grow stronger. And then they get freaked out and they click off. They're like, no, there's something scary about it for them. They're just watching out of curiosity, and all
They're embarrassed. They just can't come forward, and it's it's a personal connection. So, yeah, it is.
So it's a tough road, and that's why another thing that I say is, hey, listen, if this is making sense for you, and you're not feeling it, and you don't want it to be done this way, just hit me up, and
right.
we could
Absolutely
on the other way.
Yeah. So providing messages that reach as deep as you do you find them draining?
No.
Okay.
I find them invigorating.
Oh, there you go.
More than anything, because the draining part is the having to break the walls down for people.
Yeah.
That's what's so draining on you energetically.
Yeah.
So if somebody is open to receive, the transmission is easy.
Yeah.
The raising of your vibration and the raising of your consciousness to that level that's the easy part, making the connection.
Right.
It's the breaking down of the walls and kind of clearing out the noise. That's where the energy loss comes in. That's why for them, there's always energy loss in having to lower your vibration.
Right.
But when you're raising it, it's invigorating. And so that's why it's incredibly important for people, if they are getting a mediumship reading and they are connected, to respect your loved one's time and understand the amount of energy that it takes for them to come through, because they are lowering their energy vibration to meet in the middle, if you will. And that's draining for them. So think about that. If something is so draining on you, you wouldn't just come through doing that for an associate.
No.
You wouldn't do that for someone you don't like. that is the proof that they only come through out of love. Mm-hmm. Because you're giving a part of yourself.
You bring up a very good point. So this was years ago, okay? I went to a spiritualist place and I was getting a reading. It was a group setting. I have an aunt who passed who didn't like anybody. She didn't like me, but she didn't like anybody. She came through and she was very loving. And my jaw dropped when they said, do you have an aunt that passed? And I was like, whoa. I go, yeah, but she's not nice. I actually said that. And they go, yeah, but in death, it's like she sees your purpose and it was all love. She was remarkably positive and helped me at a really crucial time. To come forward with the gift, come forward to do whatever I was doing. So I have to say, sometimes people in death can change their mind and be this epitome of love for you and really help you.
That is absolutely right. That is absolutely right. So that starts to hint on a bigger conversation, and that is purpose and life lessons, right? And we all come down with a certain amount of life lessons that we need to learn so that our soul can advance forward.
Right.
Pretty simple concept, I would think, but that's after we do this day in and day out. So to us, it's normal. Right? Yeah. So trying to break that down. So when we incarnate here, we've got this list of lessons that we have to learn. Right. And so once our soul learns that lesson, we tick it off and we move on. But here's the crazy thing, that in God's infinite love and infinite mercy and his sovereignty, to decide to do whatever it is that he will to do, right? Those life lessons, even if we don't meet the criteria this time around, we can still learn those lessons in the hereafter.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing, amazing thing, because I have witnessed it and done readings where they come through and they basically explain that part over and over and over again.
Wow.
And so it's an amazing, amazing thing to understand. Now, that's one of those things that's a more advanced concept that you don't want to really let too many people know, because it feels like an out. It could give you an out. It's like a safety net, right? That, oh, well, if I don't get it this time, I could always,
Mm-hmm.
No, we need to make conscious efforts to constantly strive to improve. And one thing that I tell people is that, hey, listen, the patterns that you see in life that you're not happy with, that is tied to a life lesson that you're not getting. And that's why it keeps coming up, because once you get that life lesson down and conquer it, it's gone, because now it has become ingrained in your soul. And so I always use the example of this. You have two people, right? And this is one of the main reasons that we are not to judge one another in our shortcomings, but attempt to try to raise each other up. And this is why. We have two people. This one person here has relationship problems, is constantly in an abusive relationship. This person here, the one with the abusive relationship problems, that's always being abused or whatever, has no monetary problems. It's just a whiz with money.
Wow, that's great.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
This one here, not so great with money, but relationship, no problem. Now, they're talking, right? This person here that never has any relationship problems constantly gives advice to the abused one. Just leave them. Just leave them. Why are you putting up with this? This doesn't make any sense. It's common sense. It's common sense. How many times have we heard that from people?
No.
The term, hey, look, it's common sense, is a judgment term.
And it's the tone in which it's said, yeah.
So now, for this person, yeah, it is common sense,
Right.
because perhaps in a past life they were abused and they learned that life lesson that they are worth more than that,
Right.
while this person has not. They're going through that lesson right now. On the flip side, this
Right.
person here who can't manage money or whatever, for lack of just using random things, but this person can. Well, I don't understand. Where's your money going? This is common sense. This is common sense. It's because they haven't learned that life lesson,
Mm-hmm.
while this one has. And so we're all at different points on the spectrum, but
Totally.
we're all equal.
Yeah.
There is to be no judgment of each other. And that is where we're going wrong as a human race.
Right.
Period. End of story.
No, you're right. You're totally right. Yeah, I did a group reading, and you relate to this. So I was doing a reading with someone and with another reader, and a woman said that she was an escort service. And I said she was surprised that we weren't judging her. And I said, there's no judgment here. I said, we've all been robbers. We've all been killers. How are we better than you? You know, I said, literally, let's just go to your problem. Like, let's figure this out. And she was really surprised and touched. So, yeah, I see what you're saying. It's a definite, if you can change that perspective.
It's about seeing each other
right
on the soul level.
Right.
And that is the essence of what Christianity is supposed to be teaching. Not
right.
worrying about someone's lifestyle, but to accept each other
mm-hmm.
as we come,
mm-hmm.
with love and an openness, and to help each other and remove the hurdles that are standing in their way of getting closer to God.
Right. Yeah, well put. So with the thousands of readings, are there any readings to you over the years that have stood out to you?
Oh, man. All right. So there's a few. There's a few. I mean, just on the let's talk surface level first, right?
Right.
So if we're just simply talking surface level, there is one where I got a frantic call. Well, not me. Roseanne got a frantic call.
Right.
It was about 8:00 at night, and it was someone that we've done many readings for, and the love of her life just passed away. Now, another one of the rules that I have is like, hey, look, you got to give them some time to cross over, and get situated.
Right.
Well, then please just, can you come on? All right. Well, you go over just to kind of offer some sort of moral support. And I'll be damned if he's not there with her in spirit. And so we go in and we sit down, and he's going through these things, and he's giving music to Roseanne for her to validate. And he's showing me these images. And the wildest part of the night is because, when you're doing your readings and you're hyper focused and you're here,
yeah,
you're here and here at the same time. I said, he's showing me that he's sending you roses, like lots of roses.
Right.
I kid you not. The line went like this, and there was a knock at the door. And I said, he's sending you roses, lots of roses. All I'm seeing are roses, roses, roses. There was a knock at the door. Like as soon as I was done saying the line,
right.
Well, the son goes and opens the door, and it was 24 roses at the door. Somebody delivering 24 roses.
Wow.
Like, wow. Okay. I didn't even catch it. Yeah. It wasn't until everybody's like, oh my God. And I'm like, what happened? The roses, but right. I'm not there. Right.
Right.
So, it was one of those things, trying to think of some others that I've done so many. Now there's another one. This was on a live, and I don't know if you saw this one.
Okay.
There's a young boy that was coming through, and it felt like it was a teenager, like late teens, maybe early 20s. I couldn't really tell, but it was that age range, young man.
Right.
And he's coming through, and a woman validates it, and he's coming through with, and he's just being very cordial. And she's like, I don't know, because I think I had just come off of a card reading for her or whatever, and then he just slides right in, and I'm like, who is this young man? And he's like cracking jokes and blah blah blah, and very very personable.
Right.
And then she turns and she says that it was her son was sitting there, and he said, that sounds like so and so.
Right.
And it turned out to be one of these readings that I was just telling you about, where it's a third party reading. Right. And he was coming through, and not for the kid's mother, but for him. And his main and all of a sudden the tone flipped. And he told him, it still gets me right now thinking about it, because he came through and he was killed in a drive-by.
Ooh.
And he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But he was coming through to his friend, who wasn't really like a friend, like a best friend, like we hang out.
Yeah,
it was more of an acquaintance at school. But here's the rub. It kind of goes against what I had just said, right? He was going out of his way to come down and thank him, because he was the only one who ever spoke any faith into this young man's life.
Wow.
He was like, hey, man, because they went to elementary school together.
Right.
And, this kid was a good kid, but he was from the wrong side of the tracks, from a broken home. No one ever spoke any faith into him. And that hurt me as a father for him. And not even his own family spoke any faith into him or gave him any guidance. But this kid, a peer, would say, you're so smart. You're so talented. Why are you doing these things? Come on, man. And so it just goes to show that. And here was the kicker. Here was the one that got me, was that he showed me after he passed that his parents, who didn't speak, nobody really cared that he wasn't there.
Wow.
There was no grief.
That's rare. My goodness.
It was terrible. It was heart-wrenching for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing that he showed me was them saying, we knew that this was going to happen. It was only a matter of time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he didn't come through for family. He came through for the one person in his life, a peer.
Right.
Trying to tell him, no, man, come on. Let's do homework together. And as a father, it crushed me. But it made me incredibly proud of that young man that did that, because he would do that without anyone knowing that he was doing it. He didn't seek praise. He was just honestly reaching out from his soul to this other one, because he saw something that nobody else did.
And this is where that adage that you hear people say, that you got to be careful what you say to people, because every comment counts, and you never know if you're the person that broke the camel's back and the person just offs themselves, versus it could be the turning point and the person could go for the better, could go seek the help, or turn or talk to someone or reach out for someone. So that's why I'm so careful about what I say. And people tell me I'm too serious, but I'm like, look, you don't know what somebody's going through.
Well, it's serious business, right?
It is.
Here's the thing. One of the things about reading energy is being able to read that, being able to spot that,
right,
and calling it out.
Right.
Because here's what that is. That is darkness that has descended on a person and twisted their mind in such a way that they feel like there's no other way forward.
Right.
That is when you have to allow your light to really amplify, and you grab a hold of it and say, listen, I know that this is what you're going through, and you allow the Holy Spirit to work through you, you have to, you know.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of where I come from when I'm doing my readings. Is I always try to get to that deeper level, because that is where the true help lies. Right?
And the shows are proof. I mean, each one, there's always a deep conversation and someone's brought back from the break. You've done this a number of times. I've seen it. I don't get into it all the time, but I try to show support to you. But I'm like, wow, here we go again. There's somebody who's like really in trouble and Justin's pulling them out.
That's where I'm positioned.
No. And to me, you're a wonderful gift. The whole setup is a wonderful gift to the person. And yeah, no, it's to me, it's touching to watch. It's fascinating. And it just brings back the faith in humankind. You know, there's people like you and there are others too who try. And I think this is the side that people don't see of mediums, of psychics.
Yeah.
You know, they see all the charges and they see the facade with the avatars, but to see the human side, you know.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because it's become a big business.
It has.
And the problem is that the ones that get promoted aren't really doing any work, are they? Come on. I'm going to say it because I know you can't.
Well, I can say, I just, you know, right? I'm just saying that there are people, when I got the show, I was like, I'm going to bring people who meet the standard, the ethical standard. Because, you know, I'm a licensed psychologist for 23 years and I left it to do this work. And to me, there's certain people who meet the standard, and those are the people I'm going to bring on the show. Not every just Tom, Dick, and Harry. I'll bring people who I think are special, who are really trying to help humankind, people, women, children, everybody of different faiths. I mean, that's who I want to promote and help, because I feel like you guys are a gift. And you can't, as much as people like to say I have my go-to, I find I go to different people for different things. So sometimes you can have several readers that you like to go to.
And you should.
Because
here's why. That each and every person is blessed with a different spiritual gift.
True.
Right? And so, like me, you know, I'm the tragic medium or whatever. Why? Because my upbringing has I've built up a callus to seeing things that would be troubling to someone else. I can go and read for someone who's led maybe not such a great or legit life, without judgment,
you
know, without fear,
because
of the things that I've seen in my life. And so everybody has their lane, and you've got to, you know, work your lane. And
so in India they have a saying, oil your own machine, meaning mind your own business. And my parents used to say, oil your own machine, and I would say, it's overflowing, Dad. You know, it would just kind of want to kill me. But yeah, you're right. Work your lane. For sure.
It's like there are mediums that are just mediums, psychics that, you know, them as sunshine and lollipops, you know.
I know.
It's all surface stuff that are perfectly happy giving a yes/no answer. You know, what are you doing? What are you doing? Anybody who's watching that, who's thinking about that, feels like they have this calling, right? And I do it in quotation points, because if you feel like you're called to it and you don't know, listen, you know.
Yeah.
And if it's just to answer yes and no, or if money is your driving factor, don't do it.
Oh, no, for sure, because that's going to be a big disappointment. Yeah. No. Yeah. You have to have the right motivation, otherwise it doesn't go far. Yeah.
Right.
And you can't reach those depths like you talked about. So you have a book out. It's called And in the End, and that's available on Amazon. What was the catalyst that prompted you to write the book?
Well, what prompted me to write that, it was a while ago. And one of the things that I tell people when giving like private readings is like, hey, listen, especially if they're struggling with things and coming to terms, and to help them with that introspective piece, is to think of their life, to go back to the very first memory that they have,
Right.
and just relive it in chronological order as best you can, but from a third party point of view, like you're watching a movie.
Right.
So disassociate yourself from the feelings that you saw, that you had at the time, and try to view it like a movie where everybody is different characters.
Right.
You see what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so I realized that, hey, you know what? I'm telling people to do this because this is what I'm getting from God as through the work.
Right.
But I haven't done it myself.
Right.
That's where the book came from. And so it's just me showing that, hey, listen, I've done it.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking out of my ass here.
Right.
I've done the work. And so here it is in a collected format. And I know you said that, well, I was kind of hoping there'd be more psychic stuff. Well, that wasn't the purpose of
No, I understand that. I just thought, I would just put my 2 cents in there.
No, and I appreciate it because
so
trust me, I've got enough of them. I could probably do 2 or 3 books.
You could. You have so many stories and so many things that have happened to you guys that I think, and so a second book is being worked on, correct?
Yep. Yeah. I'm working on a second one. I had a loss in my life. It kind of derailed me a little bit, but getting back to it. So yeah, we'll be done with it here soon.
That's great. That's absolutely great. No, people are going to love it. So do you have any advice for people with gifts? And if so, what would that be?
Yes.
Okay.
My advice to anyone with what they perceive to be gifts,
correct,
is number one, to understand that those aren't your gifts.
Right.
Those are your abilities.
Right.
And it's important to understand the difference between your abilities and your gifts. And so with that, it only comes with introspection, right? So my abilities are clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance.
Right.
And those are my abilities. Right. My gift is the gift of discernment, which means that you can tell the difference between good and evil, which helps with when you're doing this kind of work. You want to make sure that anything that's coming through is coming through out of love. Right? And that is from the Holy Spirit. So you got your Holy Spirit gifts and you've got abilities. Abilities can be developed by anyone. But here's the thing. Here's how you know, but they shouldn't be, because if you don't have faith. Faith is the key indicator. And that is the driver of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's the difference between being able to truly reach and understand someone
mm-hmm.
and not. It is the difference between being surface level
mm-hmm.
and actually getting in and doing the work. So
along those lines, I would agree with you. What I have seen in my own life is that people who meditate have the ability, the gift, and you're right. It's up to them to use discernment, and depending on the individual, they do. But people who pray, there's such a vibration that it can cause them to have it as well, like Padre Pio and others. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's remarkable. They're given that, and it's an amazing vibration that emanates from the person. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. We have a dog that's a rescue dog that seems very fearful because I think he'd been hurt by somebody. Right. Well, when my Mexican housekeeper came in, who's tremendously devout and prays all the time and knew I had a gift and confronted me with it, I didn't even say anything to her. The dog stopped growling. He just put his head down and he kind of bowed to her. And so there was like an energy exchange. Like he sensed that she was really pure. There's nothing to fear. And he just kind of, and for me, that really stuck out because this poor dog has been growling at everybody.
Right. And when I say faith, it's really, really important for anyone that's watching this to understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Sure.
When I say faith, I am not talking about religion.
Right.
I am talking about that energy that you are talking of,
Right.
that the getting in the flow, getting in this oneness with God. What a lot of people call it the universe. People are adverse to whatever. It doesn't matter. Here's what matters:
Right.
is that you have to get in the flow of creation, which is that state of love. And in order to do that, it takes prayer. It takes meditation. Both.
Right.
You know, because they both help you reach the inner recesses of yourself.
Right.
Where that spirit and that soul live. So when we talk about introspection, it is moving past the ego and getting into who you truly are.
Right.
You know, and it goes, you know me, I don't like all the different marketing terms that people have out there. And words and terms are just ideas. It's trying to express an idea.
Right.
You know when you are coming from a place of faith. Right. You know when you are being called to do something from something higher. I call it God, you call it the divine, whatever, right? We're talking about the same thing. We're talking one and the same. That consciousness that is outside of us, but within us, and it links all of us.
Right.
Everything. That is the flow that you've got to get into if you're going to be doing this. So you have to know how to. That has to be primary numero uno above all else.
Agreed.
And how you get there is it's going to be different for everybody.
Right.
But you got to get there.
Yeah. The discipline definitely helps. I'll share this person. So my parents had both prayed and meditated when they'd come on to SRF, Self-Realization Fellowship, by Yogananda, and they both were working professionals. My dad was an engineer, my mother was a physician, and they would both, even if it meant 5 minutes at the end of the day or the beginning of the day, that's what they would do. And it left an impression in me, so that by the time I was 30, I was like, I will do this twice a day. I will, because I was too restless. And I thought, so come hell or high water, I'm going to do it. And I did it. And then I really feel like that's what's created this very strong intuition that people come and see. Started then, but we went on. It's only at 34, I was like, I know who's going to be at the door. I'm sure that you had the same experience. There tends to be this breakthrough moment at 34, 35 for people. So we have your information about where to contact and watch you. I will definitely put that up on our shows thing, on the Facebook page and on the YouTube page. It's Justin and Roseanne Cardoza Intuitive Consultants on Facebook. They have a Facebook page. They are on Instagram at The Intuitive Couple YT. They are on YouTube where they broadcast live on their channel, The Intuitive Couple. Right. I'm hoping people are going to call in. I don't know if people are going to, but I'm hoping wondering how I can see. Looking at the chat, it doesn't look like anybody's there. But if anybody would like to call in to speak with Justin or have a question or hopefully trying to get like a small mini reading or even a person coming through for you, please call the line and let me get the number for you guys. So there's so much information to give. Where is it? What's on? There we go. Okay. So the U.S. callers can call 1-929-436-2866. The meeting ID is 522-657-2748. And if you're calling from Australia, it's 612-8015-6011. And the meeting ID again is 522-657-2748. Let me give the U.S. number once again. So it's 929-436-2866. And the meeting ID is 522-657-2748. Hey, Daryl, how would I know if people are trying to call in?
Well, the easiest way is I gave you admin on it so that you can see them when they pop up
Oh, okay.
and you can let them in, or I can sit here and be letting them in as well. But I'm sitting here loving this show so far. I mean,
Thanks so
wow.
much. Yeah,
He's
he's
really
wonderful. He really
interesting.
is. His family's really special.
Oh,
That's
wow.
why I thought the world should know, I know
Yeah.
the world knows already, Justin. I get it, but I'm just trying to introduce you to my corner.
Hey, no, yeah. Hey, listen, man. I appreciate it without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Okay, so he's the host now, and this is wow, this is awesome. Yeah, so I'm hoping somebody like Ramona or Reverend Ed, I have no idea, or some of the people that are regulars on his show, Tracy or Ema. Ima was really touched with your reading yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's hold on a couple minutes. If you need to, this would be a great time to use the restroom if you need to use it.
Come on now.
Oh, you can go for hours. I'm going to run to the restroom while we wait. Okay, I'll be right back.
I come prepared. So how you doing, man?
Oh, doing great. Loving this show. I think your family is very interesting. And I honestly must say you are really a gift from God.
Well,
Between
appreciate that, man. Everybody is, right?
yes,
It's a matter of us finding what that gift is and running with it, accepting it. That's the hardest part, accepting it and running with it. And so the more of us that end up doing that, the world's going to end up being a better place regardless.
and that is so true. I mean, your son being the younger version of you and more it's enjoyable, how because the kids say they're more enjoyable. No, we all didn't have the fun that we had, but but you're right. Being touched by the powers that it's hard for the youth today. It's hard for them to see.
Yeah. I do want to add one more thing too. I know everybody's got personal circumstances and whatever, but I think when somebody has a special circumstance in their life and they're still trying to do this work with the lives, like with the show and it's all production, it's a lot of coordinating, and as we all know that. And Justin does it seamlessly. I do it too. Daryl, you do it as well.
But hey, listen, I got to tell you, nothing is seamless on my end. It only seems that way because I have my wife, Roseanne, who kicks my butt from left to right, up, down, and that makes me stay on task. And I wouldn't be anywhere near what I'm capable of if it wasn't for her. And
woo! Roseanne. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. You guys are a wonderful team. And yeah, it's really a group effort. Hey, Katie.
Oh,
if Katie's
hey.
right there. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Are you calling for Justin?
Yes, I am.
Go for it.
Hi, Justin.
Hi, Katie. How are you today?
I is good. How about you?
So what's going on? How can I help?
Not much. I hear that you do readings.
I do. So what are you looking for? Are you looking just kind of an overall general feel of what's going on?
Absolutely.
Okay. Right off the bat, I get this excitable energy from you. You get very pumped about this sort of thing, huh? Don't you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. So for you, like the main things that are coming through is I really feel like there are these, you're destined for these blessings of abundance that are coming through. Because I feel like there's such a loving energy coming from you. And you're seeking the way to transform that into a purpose. Okay? It's really, really important for you to focus on the blessings of abundance are more than monetary with you. Okay? It's so hard for me to put into words in your specific case, because I feel like you're looking for something. You're searching for something. And you're terribly guarded. Mm-hmm. You're terribly guarded. And while a lot of people are guarded by walls that they keep up, you guard yourself by constantly focusing on everyone else other than you. Because you feel, whether it be subconsciously or consciously, that the more that you focus your love and energy on other people, right, it's going to prevent anyone from examining you and, you know, seeing things that you don't necessarily want people to see. So those are the walls that you erect are really focused on positivity and pushing it out there. But what I want you to do is take time and understand that the things that you don't want people to know about you are the things that make you you. And it's going to come to a point where you'll recognize that and accept it. And you're almost there. You're almost there. But I see nothing but good things for you going forward. Mm-hmm. Because once you've got 90% of the game down. And that's going forward from a place of love and all of that. There's only these little things, and I can't see what they are. I'm not probing like that, but these things that just require acceptance on your part so that you can move forward and really achieve the dynamic purpose that is set forth for you. Now, does that make sense for you?
It does. It does. Now, I would like to know where it's going.
So one of the things that I always say is that I am not a fortune teller, right? No, the things that I do, like I said, I'm trying to point you in the right direction. But what's great is that with the blessing of abundance that you have going on around you, is that where it's going is ultimately up to you. Right? You are totally in charge of what it is that you have coming to you. But it all boils back to what I said about coming to terms with the things that you have tucked away. Understand? Mm-hmm. That makes sense?
Yep.
So wherever it is that you want to go, step number 1 is introspection with yourself. That's number 1.
The number for Canadians. Okay, I'll see if I can find. Sorry.
The number for Canadians should actually be in the somewhere on the description of the video.
Right, that's what I thought.
It'll be either up on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever the listener is listening.
Okay. YouTube.
All right. So Am I supposed to be having the waiting room here, or should somebody else have it?
No,
Um,
you're okay. You're okay.
yeah, we're seeing you.
Are you seeing the waiting room right now?
Yeah, I'm seeing two people entered the waiting room.
Okay, they may
Oh.
be someone that's calling in. So you have somehow became the host.
Yeah, Daryl made him the host.
So therefore, you can accept. You can just let them in, and they should come on.
All right. Let's see here.
They're probably callers that are calling in, sitting in the waiting room, ready to be asking questions for you.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see here.
Okay.
All right. Hey, here we go. Got somebody.
Hey, Justin, it's Nancy.
Hey, Nancy. What's up? How are you?
Not much. Good. Can you do me a favor?
Yeah. What's up?
Tell him to back off, and then we'll go into the story. Because I've been with you guys for what, 2 years?
Yeah. Yeah. You have?
And you've been like, I don't know how to say it, but kind of like my rock. Because you've opened me up more to everything. Like tonight, he's been on my back left and right. We got all kinds of orbs again. I went to the grocery store. I felt like somebody was behind me, but there was nobody there. So it's just, I love you guys. And I just figured I'd call in before I have to go do a babysitting job, just to let you know how much I appreciate you guys and what a great job you guys do.
Well, thank you, Nancy. I really, really appreciate that more than you know. And Roseanne appreciates it as well because, like I said, we are two in the same. And, we operate a little bit differently. But I tell you what, I wouldn't be near as good at what I do without her. And so I definitely appreciate the words, Nancy. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
As far as he goes, you got it. He's fine. He's just busting your chops,
Yeah, I know, but I figured I'd call because I'm like, Chelsea and I are trying to listen to you, and the cigarette smoke is making me gag, and the orbs, and I'm like, I sent Dawn some more pictures, so I don't know if is her name Lily?
Yeah.
Might be able to see them on your website or somehow through Dom, so that way she can see, the activity and stuff that I have in my house.
Okay.
Yeah, we could get that forwarded on, I'm sure.
Sure.
Yeah, because I think is she also a psychic medium or just a radio host?
No, I'm a psychic medium too.
Oh, that's great. That's
Thank
great
you.
to hear. You're welcome. Yeah, just I bug Justin. Well, I mess with him a lot sometimes, but I just hope that he can show you the videos that I send him because they're mind blowing. I've never seen them like that.
Yeah, we could get that forwarded on. Well, thank you, Nancy.
Okay.
Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, we got somebody.
Bye.
Hey, have a good one. Somebody else here.
I've never seen them like that.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome.
Oh, hello?
Yeah, hey.
Hi.
Hey.
Well, I borrowed a different phone because there's another phone there, and I was just calling because I just had a couple questions.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether to go about the spiritual route or just to ask currently about a relationship that I have that I feel is like a twin flame dynamic, where we were together for 4 years.
Is that your computer
Pardon?
that we're hearing?
Oh, it's the other phone.
Oh,
No, I had to borrow a phone.
Oh,
Should I leave the room?
If you can mute that other phone, if there's a way to do that, so that because there's an echo, so we just can hear you. So Justin can hear you, and then you can ask him your question.
Okay, can you hear me now? Just me?
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I guess at this point, because I've done a lot of personal work, we'll say soul growth and everything the past year, I feel like I'm on a good spiritual thing. Growing up, I will say I've always been very empathic, but it seems like lately I've been more intuitive. And I'm more so kind of curious, like, where the relationship's headed. Like, you know how it is when you feel someone's your twin flame and you have the, runner chaser dynamics. And we were together 4 years, split for 5 months, been on and off for 5 months. And I've kind of kept it quiet the past couple weeks. And then yesterday he's telling me, just like he said, everything's been going kind of downhill. So any general guidance even would be great at this point.
So with that, Lily, you want to take this one? Like I see in relationships, hey man, if you're doing the so
Sure. Can I just get your name and then I'll zoom in?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name's Karen.
Oh, okay, great. Karen. So here's
I actually know Tracy, and yesterday was one of the second times I've ever been on the show. But she told me tonight to come over to this channel, and I figured, okay.
We're glad you did, honestly. So what I'm getting is that you put a lot of effort into relationships, maybe too much is what I'm hearing. And you need to kind of give yourself some more self-respect is what your angels and what your guides are saying.
And that's what I've been doing the past year, putting myself, and that's what I basically told him. I have to be, self-love first.
Sure. And part of this is that you need to let go of these labels, twin flame and soulmate. And if it doesn't work out with him, if he can't put himself together to be there for you, what I'm hearing is that there's an equally wonderful partner, if not better, because he's more committed, that will come in about 4 to 6 months, provided you stay open. And my question to you is your heart open? Do you think you can do that?
Honest answer, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of feeling, and this person was my best friend. And I've known the family for 16 years. It's very,
I understand. I really do. I just left a relationship where I knew the person 23 years and we were together for 5. And he's just not.
Wow.
He's not ready. So I totally get where you're coming from. But my heart's open. And so I know something's wonderful is going to happen. So my point to you is you can have this. I'm seeing you very happy by about February to April of next year. And I am known for timing, just so you know.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering, my thing is I'm just hoping that he can wake up. It seems like he's done a lot of spiritual growth to a point, but he's a little more ego-led than soul-led.
Right. He's a couple of fears he's not facing. And so as soon as he faces them, he might be in a better position. But the problem with that is no one can control that,
Right, because of free will. Yeah.
Right. So I would agree with you.
And so I'm going to try.
Any other general guidance or?
Yeah, no, Justin wants to jump in.
I'm going to chime in because, I know that, you've been working on yourself and everything, and that's great. Right.
Yes, sir.
The thing that you're really being called to do is pray more. Right.
Okay.
And again, it's this issue of self-love that keeps coming up for me. And that's where the rub is. That's where the issue is that, you have unresolved issues that you've got to get to, and you're trying to heal from it. Right.
Okay.
And I totally see that. And I see the effort being put forth. I want you to pray more. And here's why. Because what happens is you'll be riding along smooth, and you'll hit a bump, and then you'll fall into this depression. And you'll hang out there for a little bit until you realize that you start to and you try to consciously pull yourself out of it. And it's this cycle going back and forth over and over and over again with you. We got to try to catch that fall off point earlier.
Okay.
Make sense?
No. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I gotta state my case on this one as a listener from the other room. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
All right. I don't buy into the twin flame stuff. You know that I don't. Because it isn't about twin flame. It's a concocted,
my wife, everybody.
It's a concocted commercial terminology. Okay.
Right.
When we are in relationships with people, whether they last a long time or a short time, the most
important thing is that if things don't work out, as a person who did this her whole life before I met you, Justin, I always introspected myself because if the relationship goes sour for whatever reasons, and we as women tend to look at ourselves and say, well, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? It's like when a man cheats, what does a woman say? A woman says, well, was she prettier than me? Was she thinner than me? That's how it always works. Mm-hmm. So yes, introspection is the biggest part of this, but figuring out why that breakdown happened, because there's two people in a relationship, but she doesn't need to worry herself. She needs to introspect herself, but she also needs to understand that it also plays a factor in his part as well. And if he didn't do right by her, then she needs to introspect on figuring out how to get over that. That way she can find somebody who is right for her and not that person who triggered her in the wrong ways or that made that relationship crumble. You need to find somebody who understands you when the world says, oh, you know what? You're a bitch. You're this. You're that. Mm-hmm. When a person like Justin comes to me, when I first met him, he said, you know what? You're none of those things. You're just misunderstood. Yeah. It relinquishes everything off of you. If you can find somebody that can say that to you, then that's your twin flame. That's your soulmate. Right.
No, I was just listening. I'm very open-minded. Of course, I'm going to listen to your side, too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you better, because we work.
Hey, man, when it comes to, she comes off as very strong and very passionate because she believes that, look, she's a strong woman. And I love that about her, And
I'm strong and passionate, too. I'm Italian. I can't help that. That's just how it comes out.
So you understand. So the part where what I said to her is that, you're just misunderstood. And I'm sure that's the same case with you, too. So.
Well, yeah, my situation was I'd known the family for a long time. I was best friends with the sister for 11 years. He and I were actually best friends. I mean, we clicked perfectly if you met us. It was actually drugs that pulled us apart the last year. So I know that had nothing to do with me, but he can only stop it when he stops. And unfortunately, we had another 3 months this year. Everything was perfect. We click. And then it starts with that use again. And that's when I told him a couple of weeks ago, so you can put that down. We cannot be together. Because I'm on a spiritual thing here. You're vibrating down here, hanging out with whatever. I just didn't know if maybe there was any futuristic things that you saw us definitely or not.
The future of love. Because love is up to each and every one of us. But however, when the devil comes in the form of a substance and a substance abuse, because that is the devil.
Absolutely.
Alcohol.
I've never done anything. Believe it or not, I don't drink, never smoke pot, never touched a drug.
Exactly. And unfortunately, when that comes into play into a relationship, nothing.
Then you become the mistress. So you can't have a relationship.
Right. When it comes to any person's relationship, and not one person, the one who is not the user, always wants to help them fix it.
Yeah.
And we ourselves around like a dog chasing its tail. And it's thank God you recognize that. But unfortunately, until he is ready to come to peace with his addiction, that's
correct.
The devil on his back that he has to deal with. All you can do for him, this is true, and please listen to this. All you can do for him is pray for him.
True.
Oh, absolutely.
That is all you can do for him, because that is the devil.
So I don't mean to cut you off, Roseanne. We have two people waiting. Was there anything else you wanted, Karen, from Justin or from myself?
I'll ask quickly. I mean, I don't want to monopolize all the time. Is there any spirit message from my son
Okay.
by any chance coming through?
Not at the moment. Not at
Okay.
so.
No, that's fine.
Feel free to contact me on Facebook. I think at Roseanne and Justin and Roseanne Cardoza, Intuitive Consultants on Facebook.
Actually, Tracy told me that she was going to be contacting us. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
And
there
a
you go.
private reading is more intimate.
Yeah.
And you don't work on a time limit.
There's no time limits. Yeah, that's the one thing. That,
Right. Well, I'll have to wait till I get a couple bucks. I told her yesterday I only have $6 in my bank account, so until Wednesday I couldn't contribute. It's not that I didn't want to, because I would have loved to have helped support a family. I just can't right at this moment.
Don't worry about it. It's all good. All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
I'm going to watch the rest of your show, and I appreciate you both talking with me.
We
Appreciate it.
appreciate you too.
Thank you.
So let me go ahead and admit the next person.
I just can't right.
Okay. So who do we have with us?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Eve from Canada.
Oh, welcome, Edie.
I have a question. I'm just wondering, it's kind of funny that we just left off on where we did, because I hear a lot of people commenting that they love them. They have been so helpful to me. And I know that your name is the Intuitive Couple. And so I guess my question for you is, I guess kind of funny, speaking of twin flames, where do the couple come in? Where do the two of you come in to work together to support each other with a sort of combined support system for others and their soul journeys?
That is a fantastic, fantastic question. And thank you, Eve, for bringing that up. Like I've said multiple times, I would be nowhere without my wife, Roseanne. And you guys got a taste of her brand of advice. It's very high tempo, very passionate.
Mm-hmm.
It's the polar opposite of me, right? And I love that because I'm just naturally laid back, and she's very passionate and
Yeah.
and it works. This is where people. This is what people have to understand: is that there is not one of us without the other. And like I told her, I said, look, we either sink together or we swim together, and it's all that. And so that and the reason that I say that is that it's a bond that goes deeper than just doing business or doing any kind of readings, right? I take my wedding vows incredibly seriously, and here's the thing with me and my wife, right? I remember when we were going through premarital counseling, it was explained very clear to me that going into a marriage is not just a contract, like social status states, but it's a covenant. It's a covenant
Right.
between three. You, the significant other, but most importantly, God. A covenant cannot be broken, right? And I've always taken that incredibly, incredibly seriously. And what so many people fail to understand in today's day and age is that the first sign of trouble, people bail.
Mm-hmm.
Friends bail. Family bails. Husbands and wife bail. That's the wrong thing, because it's through those troubles, through those heartaches that love grows. Those are the tests.
Right.
And just like building a muscle, love only grows when it's under resistance. And so
Right, exactly.
I would be nowhere without my wife. We're the Intuitive Couple because we haven't thought of a better name. But back in the day, remember when people used to merge names together? I was like, yeah, we're Just a Rose.
That's great. That's great.
I like that.
Yeah. So, you know, it's really a spiritual bond that we have. We know what each other are thinking and what we're saying. And so, I mean, look, you get one, you get the other, and you never know when the other one's going to pop in. Even though she does it here,
Just like
I
now.
do her all the time. Yeah, I'm telling you.
I love that. I love hearing her pop in with her words of wisdom there, because sometimes it takes another woman to kind of get to a woman's
without a doubt.
perspective. Right.
Without a doubt. You know, and we both bring totally different perspectives, right? I bring a grounded kind of perspective, and then Roseanne comes in with and we'll smack you around a little bit, and I'm going to make you feel better about it. For lack of a better word, you have to understand everything that we do is coming from the same place. Mm-hmm. That same place is that place of love.
And it's also
that's so good.
Guides are very much pushing us into the direction of where we're going. We're going. Yes.
That's good. I hope that answered the question.
Perfect.
I feel like I danced around it. But
no, that's good. I was just curious because everyone that was coming on kept saying we and using that term, and I was, as a listener, kind of wondering, I see that you have the intuitive couple. So that really answers my question. And I also want to say that I appreciate you taking your time with everybody, because I see that you truly take your time and energy with every person that calls in. And you don't rush along. I can see that you don't rush compared to some other people that I've seen do readings. And I also want to say that I am also a fellow Christian, and I love your message, and I think that you should keep pushing on.
Well, thank you.
And I hope everyone took that away from your message today, that Christianity is about love and not about judging and hate.
Thank you.
Coming from a fellow Christian.
All right. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, and then we'll go to the next person.
I'm going to make you feel good.
So who do we have with us?
Oh, this is Tracy.
Tracy? Oh, hey, Trace.
Yep.
Can you mute your thing in the background so we can... Okay, there we go.
I'm trying to figure out both at the moment.
Okay, sure. That's better. Okay, so go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Actually, I was calling with a very similar question as the last caller, because a lot of people don't understand that whole dynamic, I think, between the way that Justin and Roseanne work together. But after hearing all of that, I want to just kind of say to Roseanne, yo, girl, you should be doing this stuff on our channel, get us some likes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
My question for Justin is what I would really like to know, as of all the things that he's been able to do, whether it be his abilities, his guidance, and all of that, what do you think that God would be the most proud of you for?
Oh. Honestly, that's an excellent question. And while it sounds so complex that I would probably need I would think that I would need a couple of days to think about that one. But correction, I don't. I think, and again, I am not proclaiming to know God's mind, but in meditation after meditation, one thing that has been shown to me is just my willingness to obey. When I get a message, I obey. I do it. Yeah. Just like any human being.
I do know.
I may hesitate. I may question. These are very human traits and characteristics. Ultimately, though, I always seek to please God and what my purpose is, because I trust God implicitly with everything. And so that is my guiding light. That is what drives me. And so it may take me a minute, but I will obey. And without asking too many questions, I think. I mean, just off the top of my
I think that's beautiful, and I think you've hit the nail on the head with that, because I know it's easier to question yourself, but who would question God and what his intentions are, you know? And he'd never steer you in the wrong path. So
we got to be careful with that one, right? So it's like, I'm not questioning wisdom, or I'm not, it's obeying what you feel that pull to. That's the most important thing.
mm-hmm.
So following your
I
divine.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good question.
Well, that was an excellent answer, and I appreciate that. Can I just throw one more in there just for fun?
Sure.
Well, and I mean, not everybody might agree with this, but or everybody believes in this kind of thing. But if you could astral project to any time, place, or even a planet, where would you wish to go?
Oh, you know what? I mean, I can astrally project, right? But
And you've been to some
Mhm.
interesting places.
yeah,
But
but
you can't discuss that.
no, I can't discuss that. Here's the thing with that. It's a fascinating question in theory. In reality and in practice, it leads people astray. Because whether you travel to the past or travel to the future, you're missing out on the most important ingredient in life, which is the now.
The present.
And so staying grounded in the present is the most important thing that each of us can do. We need to use the knowledge and the mistakes of the past to help guide our present choices so that we could create the future that we're looking for. Too many of us across the spectrum spend our time dreaming about the future or worrying about the future, right? Or spend our time wasting our time regretting mistakes of the past and longing for the better days of the past. Whether you keep your eyes to the future or to the past, today is getting by you. And so it's incredibly important for us to really, and it takes incredible discipline to really catch ourselves when we're in the process of doing that. It's great to dream. We have to have dreams in order to know where we're going. But we have to use the past and the mistakes and lessons learned of the past to help make decisions today to get us to the dreams of the future. That only happens one way, by staying grounded firmly in the present. Okay?
Justin, I think you answered that just perfectly, and so inspiring, and I couldn't agree more.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the call. You good? I mean, I don't know. I'm going to take over your show here, Lily. My bad.
No, I think that you answered that amazingly perfect, and I don't think anybody could have answered it any better. And I appreciate your guidance always. And thank you both from the bottom of my heart, you and Roseanne, both, my little soul family, for everything that you do for me every day, every week. I love you guys to pieces, and I'd be lost without you.
Well, same here. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate it, Trace. Have a good
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that, Justin. I really love you and Roseanne a lot, and I feel like you guys are friends or family. Although I realize, you feel that way with a lot of people. So it's I don't say that to everybody. So it's nice.
That. Look, here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I say it every week.
Right.
That if you join us on our Facebook, right? Or on our YouTube channel, which is, The Intuitive Couple. Just look for The Intuitive Couple on YouTube.
Right.
Join us every Saturday night when we go live. Click the bell, subscribe, click the bell.
Right.
You will be amongst the best people and the best crowd on the internet.
Yeah.
Period. Bar none. Everyone is so friendly with each other and supportive of each other. And we're building a community.
Yeah.
And so that is where the power of what we do resides.
Yeah.
Within the relationships built amongst each other. And I have to say thank you, Lily, because last night you were the one who kicked off. We were doing the paying it forward chain, right? The donation chain. You were the one that kicked it all off, and it was a great and successful night. And so for that, I have to thank you for being the one to set that off in motion. So thank you.
If I can do it, I try.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's it does feel good. I hope the family gets the help, and I get the feeling it'll be a very special Christmas season. I know the year has really sucked for a lot of people, but
there's only one way to end it then, right? And that
bang.
Yeah, we end it with the way we want it to end.
Right.
That's up to us. That's up
true.
to every individual to do the right thing. And so, it's that simple, really.
It's great. So we've got 12 people watching. So I said to them, I said on the Facebook page, awesome show. Anybody want to call in? Because I know a lot of people love to talk to you. Your time is very valuable and precious. So let's see what happens. Because there's Karen, Christy, Roseanne. Let's see. Tracy was there. Let's see. So we'll see if anybody else jumps on.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. So Lily, let me ask you a question while we're waiting on some other people to call in, right? I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip it.
Go for it.
So let me ask you this.
Sure.
Since you have been doing this professionally for however long,
right?
What do you find to be the hardest aspect of doing this on a daily basis?
Is when you have to give someone news that they can't hear or don't want to hear. Yeah, that's the toughest.
Yep.
Because I kind of wince as I'm saying it, and I do it tentatively, and I pray. But you've been there. It's like the person might snap at you or might suddenly leave. Oh, we have another caller. But yeah, to me, that's the biggest.
And that goes back to what I said. Number one rule, you have to be open and you have to be ready to hear the message, right? So.
Right. Agreed. And on that note, let's let this 1918 person. Welcome. You're on the air. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good. And what was your name?
My name is Jake.
Okay. Hey, Jake. How can we help?
Yeah. I have a question. First of all, how dare you?
How dare who?
How dare you? It's actually, before anyone kicks me from it, I'm actually his son. I'm the moderator. I'm Dom. Yeah, Dom. Yeah, I just wanted to call in. I figured you guys need callers. You know, you guys need some help out there.
So okay, so now you guys have met. Now you're seeing the
Saturday feel.
Getting a feel for the entire family here. You know, I'm the
it's not the same experience if I'm not here. So
I agree, Dom. You make it all technical. You put on the special music. You do the effects on the computer. They're really lucky to have you. You're a big blessing.
Well, thank you.
Totally. You know that, buddy. That's why I was donating you. He's my personal consultant. I pay him just to give me tech advice.
Well, you need to be paying Dominic.
That's what I did.
So, so this is the insanity which I operate in, and so like only somebody with an even keel can manage this band of rebel rockers. You know, you've got Roseanne over here who delivers some messages like that. And Dom, he's our producer, director, and everything else. Oh no.
Come on.
And there's the fourth. And so, just the one cheesing up FaceTime. But all right, beat it. So this is how this is the mode I operate in. So it's funny. Sometimes people will be like, why don't you require quiet? No. No, absolutely not.
Justin, that's a testament to how strong your gift is, or your ability, whichever one you prefer. Some people could not do that. So I hear what you're saying. You've gotten used to it because it's your family and you love them and they're your support system. But yeah, for some people that would be like, whoa, how am I supposed to get it?
Yeah. It's different. It's different. So all right. The minute I heard "How dare you," I was like, Jake. Okay.
I know. I was like, God, that sounds a lot like Dominic. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a clown.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Well, thanks for calling in, Dom.
Yeah, I have a question for you though. Seriously, on a more important note. So on the back of your shelf, you've got the Mother Mary, your book, the candle. Is that supposed to represent Earth? That little statue the wire sculpture, or am I not seeing something correctly? Yeah.
It's just a thing.
Oh, okay.
Just
all
a
right.
thing.
Just
that Roseanne thought looked cool. There's no. I think the most important thing up here though is perhaps the Dundee Award. No, I'm just kidding. Mary kind of reminds me of who it is that I'm working for. Right?
Yeah, there's more things that are actually supposed to be on there. Like, we
you
always
know.
have the ashtray that's on there. That's my brother's.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because my brother helps people come through.
Yeah, his job on the other side is he actually helps people who have crossed of like drug overdoses and crossed alone. He helps meet them and cross them over.
Yeah.
To the
good show that.
So we have a candle and we got his baseball hat up there. So it's we've got an entire team behind the scenes that are helping to bring people through. That's what I said. You missed it. I said that was like the most important thing was the Dundee Award. But this is the kind of thing, it's like we have to break it up with humor and laughter because, man, bringing through messages from spirit and trying to help guide people on such a deep level can be incredibly heavy stuff. And you've gotta be able to break that up and come through with laughter, because laughter is the best medicine on the planet. So
I have a great story along that line. So there's a saying that if you call on Archangel Michael to help with your mechanical stuff, it will work. So whenever my fax machine would not work, this was way back when I was a psychologist, my mother, who would never get that right, who never could remember Archangel Michael, she would say, call Michelangelo. And I would just start cracking up because, A, it's not Michelangelo, it's Archangel Michael. B, she would say it without fail every time. And it was just the funniest thing ever. And then she's like, well, if that's what it takes. I said, that's what it takes, Mom.
Yeah. And so it's like, well, instead of Michelangelo, you'd probably be better off calling down Leonardo, since he was the one that had the mechanical capability. You know what I'm saying? You're calling the wrong Renaissance artist there, Mom.
Right, exactly. It's just great. She's a riot.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right.
Carla May logged on.
Although who?
Carla, she had the best.
Carla, oh yeah, she had a pretty good. So all right, so back in the
YouTube channel, it's an isolated.
It's an isolated one, right?
Yeah.
So check this out. Going back to what you asked earlier, like one of the readings.
Ask Carla if she wants to call in, because it's fantastic.
If she wants to call in, Carla, if she's there,
Carla her story is absolutely mind blowing.
So yeah, I mean,
okay. I'm putting in call Carla, so hopefully she'll see it.
Yeah. That was one of those things where her mother came through. But what was crazy about it was that at the time, this was on a Monday, I believe. And I was woken up at 5:30 in the morning by a spirit, which normally does not happen. Okay. I've got pretty good controls on things. And I'm like, who are you here for? And she's like, oh, it's okay, honey. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to hang out. I'll wait because I had planned on going live on Wednesday that week.
Right.
All right. I had it all planned out. We'll go live Wednesday. I'm like, you sure? What's going on? She's like, no. Don't worry about it. You do you. And this is a spirit talking to me. You do you. And I'll wait for Wednesday. I'm just hanging out all day long. Now, it was funny because at the time I was mentoring somebody who was just learning how to tune in, and she was doing a reading for Roseanne, like a training reading. Right. And she was getting this mother figure coming in, but none of it was making any sense. And it wasn't Roseanne's mother; it was Carla May's mother. But man, she just kept like
all day long.
All day long.
She's on the waiting room. So do you want me to hit admit and let me see if it's her?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Hello. I'll wait for Wednesday. I'm just hanging out.
Hello.
Hello. Is this Carl?
Hi. This is Eve calling from Canada.
Oh, okay. Hi, Eve.
Hi.
How are you tonight?
Good.
Good.
Who's this?
It's Lily, the host. How can I help?
Oh, hi.
Help.
Oh, I'm so confused. I have another question as I was listening.
Okay. What's up?
Go for it.
Oh, I'm on a lag here. Just hold on a second. Let me mute my thing.
Sure.
Okay, so I was listening in, and I came up with a question because it would really intrigue me. But you were just talking with your wife Roseanne about the ashtray and her brother's ashtray, and you quickly brought up his job on the other side, and I was intrigued. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that. What do you mean, job on the other side?
Oh, well. Maybe I went a little too far. I said something. Well, all right. So here's the thing, though, right? So just some background. Roseanne's brother passed away a few years ago, and he had a drug problem in life. And Roseanne and I would talk to him constantly. Listen, man, come on, pull it together. For whatever reason, he just it had a hold of him too strong.
Yeah, you prepared me for it.
Yeah, and there was a point where talking with him, it felt like he had just given into it and just said, "Well, this is my life. This is what it's going to be." He never actually said it. It's just there's an energy about it, you know. It's incredibly sad and disheartening to watch someone you love go through this. Well, he passed at an early age.
37.
I'm so sorry, Roseanne.
Yeah. And so it was, it's devastating, right? Yeah. Obviously. Even though doing what I do, I know where they're going. I know what they're going to see and what they're going to go through, and to an extent, obviously, I'm not all-knowing. I'm not omniscient, but Roseanne would say, "Just check on him. Go check on him,
well,
please."
Actually, you gave him his last rites.
I'm the one who gave him his last rites. That's neither here nor there, right? But okay.
It's important to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm just trying to get to the question. So after checking on him, he finally came through. I'm making a long story short here. And talking with him. Hey, are you okay? Is there? Oh yeah, no, I'm good. And he said to me that he helps people cross over who have passed from drug overdoses and who are alone and don't have any.
Wow.
That is what he does. He's one of that people who may not have a loved one on the other side that they can connect with. But he's blessed with this ability because he understands them, because he went through it, and he helps them cross. And it made me realize the enormous love and the enormous
wow, yeah, that's
grace
incredible.
of God.
Yeah.
That even though we in the flesh don't understand why people are going through such hard times, we are not God. And we don't understand the sovereignty that God has. We can't see through God's eyes. And so I realized that his whole life was a training mission to help him achieve this ultimate goal for God, to help people come back to him after they cross.
It reminds me of that's incredible. Thank you for explaining that to us all. But I have a wise friend who once told me that it's important to pray for people who can't pray for themselves. And that story is incredible. It reminds me of God's, I was always taught from childhood, and it's only recently become more apparent to me that, God always works everything for good. Even though we're kind of in this worldly, sinful world, he can take everything and use it for good. And here he is on the other side, being that person who's, praying for those who can't pray for themselves on the other side.
It's important for everybody to understand that statement that God will take what's meant for our harm and use it for good, that is always true. Even if we don't necessarily see what that good is. When you look at it if you try to look at things through heaven's eyes, that was a song in Prince of Egypt, the animated movie. And I remember that stuck to me.
Yeah.
Look at your life through heaven's eyes.
Right.
So important for all of us, because even though we may not understand the why, we have to understand that the why is leading to something greater than us. That
could be comforting to so many people because, we try to see through heaven's eyes here on earth.
True.
So now that's a story that is a testament to the fact that you literally see through heaven's eyes in heaven, because that's where the good is coming through.
Yeah, it's the only place.
We'll look for earthly signs that, something bad is actually for ultimate good, but here's this testament of her brother who the good is done in a place where we can't see.
Yeah, and I'd like to add too, because it's something I have written about extensively, about soul, human soul, and the evolution of the human soul through time. And I find it absolutely, when he said that to Justin, Justin, you fell back, against the wall a little bit because he came up on you so close, and you had tears in your eyes when he said that to you, because it was
heavy, man.
Absolutely mind-blowing that this guy, my brother, who had given up, he was a carpenter at one point, but he let drugs rule his life so much. He didn't want help. He didn't do anything. His mind had progressed so much from the drugs, but it showed that the soul can still...
Soul's not affected.
Right. And the soul can still grow
and you can still
on
achieve
the other
your purpose
side.
no matter what.
And that was the one thing that shocked you was that he said, I found my purpose. I found my purpose here.
It's it's deep.
Wow.
And that's, he couldn't find it. He was a new soul. And I always used to tell him that, Richie, you're a new soul. You're just not meant to get it this time. But he does his job there, and he helps people transition. And he, unfortunately, very, very, it's very sad, but he's always busy. Always.
So, Eve, if we could just say goodbye to you, because we have one more person that wants to come in.
Yes.
And to get off.
Thank you so much for answering that deep question. Okay, thank you. Bye.
We'll try to get to Christopher Fisher, who's a co-host, another host on this show. I think. Oh, there he is. Chris.
Hello.
Hey, Chris. How are you? Welcome.
How are you?
Good.
I don't remember who you are.
I'm Lily, BHATTACHARYA. I met you on the Halloween night.
Yeah.
You did the first part. I did the second part with Sky and Melinda.
Oh, okay. My memory's sometimes foggy.
Right. Did you have a quick question for Justin before I jump off? Because we have 1 minute and I've been warned.
I wanted to try reading from you, but I'll do it off the air.
Okay. Alrighty. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Chris. We appreciate it. Okay. Yeah. I will let you go because I think the next show is ready to come on. So thanks for joining us. For those who were listening, we had a wonderful, awesome show. We had a wonderful guest with his wonderful family and the other side coming in. And so this was a real success. So thank you so much, and give you guys a hand.
Hey.
And share out, and we'll give all the information. I will post their information again on the page so that you guys can share it, like it, and let other people know about Justin and his great work. Okay?
Thank you so much for having me, Lily. You guys have a great day and stay blessed, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Peace out.